Hi, and welcome to Alaskan in Thailand. I'm here in Blueport Mall down in the basement. They got some really cool things around here. Let's check it out. We'll talk about the things that you need to do to be able to retire in Asia. Check these out. These are pretty cool. You know, to be able to just get up and leave your home country and move to another country here in Asia is really no small feat, and it's nothing to take lightly. First, you really got to be able to qualify for it. You know, those of you that have small children or something and just divorced, you probably really shouldn't, you know, just pack up and move to Asia unless you can make it back, you know, once a year, a couple times. You know, if you have small kids that need you around, you probably, you know, even if you are divorced, in my opinion, I think you really ought to stay in the U.S. until they're of age, you know, and that's probably about the time you'll be able to retire anyway, so that kind of makes sense. You know, you don't want to leave a bunch of young children, and you know, those of you with your children are grown, that's a whole different story. You know, you can take off and, you know, make it back once every year or two, and you know, nowadays you can pretty much, you know, with these WhatsApp. In fact, I highly recommend you guys get that WhatsApp. That keeps you in touch with your family back home. You can literally FaceTime them, and it's free. It's real easy. It's better than any phone call or anything. I highly recommend it. WhatsApp, get that for you and your family so you can talk to your family. This is really cheap food here. So cheap. 12 baht for this stuff. They have meals here. They're sold out, but 25 baht, that's 75 cents. They actually usually have meals, rice and everything. But anyway, yeah, so once you've determined whether you can actually leave or not, you don't have kids, small children to worry about, and you have, you know, your kids are grown and you have the funds set aside and you're looking for a new place, and then you got to get rid of all your stuff. What are you going to do with a lifetime stuff you've collected, you know? That can be hard. Houses, things you just got to part with, and it can be a daunting task, you know. You had your whole lifetime gathering junk, and then all of a sudden, what are you going to do with it all? Well, I was lucky. I was just in a situation where I could just give it all to dump my junk. As literally, I felt guilty doing it, and I still do. Left a bunch of junk, you know. I probably shouldn't have sold more, but I left it for her. It's in an area where you really can't get other stuff, so every bit of junk you can repurpose it for something else. But anyway, yeah, have your finances and not, you know, have small children, and then get rid of all your junk. So yeah, I was able to, I just literally gave my house, my truck, my boats, all the junk included, four-wheelers, a couple of broke down snow machines, some that kind of still working, but getting older. And I dumped it onto her and jumped on a plane. Made sure I had a couple of debit cards so you can access your funds, a couple bank accounts so you can access your funds. And then you got to kind of reach down and inside yourself. With all the fortitude you can muster, get on a plane and leave everyone you know and everything you know pretty much behind. Go to a strange country, they don't speak your language, you don't speak their language. It's a daunting task, it really is. It's really something hard to wrap your mind around if you haven't done it. And then you get here, you know, and you got to set yourself up all over again. But this time you got to be a minimalist about it, you know. It's the best, you know. You don't need to buy a house, you don't need to fill it with junk. In fact, you want to do exactly the opposite. You want to be a minimalist. Minimalize your junk now while you're still there. You know, if you can sell what you can sell, do so. Get rid of it, give it to somebody that can use it, your friends, you know. Become a minimalist here. You have less junk to worry about. But then say you do make it to another country, you know, Thailand, Vietnam, then you got to figure out your visa and how you're going to be here long term. You kind of want to make sure you want to be here long term, you know. You might want to spend a year thinking about it. Make sure you like it, you know, the thinker. So yeah, you get here, you get your visa, find you a place where you feel safe, secure in your own room, you know. And then see if you can wrap your mind around living with strangers, you know, until you start making some friends. You know, can you live here without being able to speak your language? And it's tough. It's really hard. That's one thing people don't really understand. What it's like to live in a strange country where you can't speak to the people. It's not easy to wrap your mind around that. Real easy to get soured up in the place and find an excuse to leave, and that's what many do. They don't make it. Give up, you trade one thing for another, you know, all your friends you're trading, and you know, that's a trade-off for these cheap, low prices that you're gonna have here in Thailand, or great food, easy, affordable lifestyle that you're gonna have. That's a trade-off you're gonna have. There's good trade-offs and there's bad trade-offs. There's things like some bad air quality that might affect you here that didn't affect you there, so that's a trade-off. Do you really want, you know, some people can't take it. Like right now the air's quality's deteriorating a little bit. It's quite a bit actually. Can you handle it? So like I say, it's a mental thing. After you've gotten here and you've settled in and you're actually making a go at it, hopefully your mind can get used to the idea of being in a new place, making new friends. It's going to work for you. I'm sure there's many cases of failure that go back, or somebody that just wanders aimlessly for the rest of their life through Asia, you know, going from a tourist place to the next tourist place, and can't decide for themselves if this is the place they want, you know. They never find a home, you know. That's kind of one thing you're always going to have to get the feeling like you're homeless. You're almost going to feel like you're homeless, maybe for the rest of your life. It's hard to replace that homegrown feeling of being around friends and family. That's always going to be a hole in your soul. That's going to be a hard one to deal with. Hopefully you can find something to replace it with. Something like exercise or new hobbies and meeting new friends. And those of you that are looking, well, maybe a new spouse out of the deal. Who knows? But anyway, that's my rambling thoughts. Things you should consider before moving to Asia, and things you're going to have to give up. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe. My other channel just hit 4,000 subscribers just today. YouTube notified me. I got 4,000. That's on Yukon Jeff Imagery. It's all about my Alaska hunting and fishing. I think if you're interested in that, you might want to check that channel out. YouTube demonetized it though, so I don't make anything out of it. But it's kind of a neat something. If you're interested in the outdoors, it might be a good one. Some cool stuff here though, don't you say? See you in the next one. See you in the next one.